Welcome back to my channel, guys. So today I'm going to show you my minimalist cupboards and fridge. I've noticed in the past that there's always certain food items that are sitting around, going bad, not getting eaten, and end up being thrown out. And I really hate wasting food. Not only is it horrible for the environment, but it's also really bad for the budget, and it makes your fridge and cupboards look really disorganized and cluttered. Over the last couple of years, I've really pared down not only the number of items that I buy, but also the variety of items that I buy. So at first glance, it might look a little bit boring to some people, but what I've learned is that it's better to just know the types of foods that you and your family love and will continue to eat on a regular basis, and continue to purchase only those items, unless of course it's a special occasion of some sort. So without further ado, let's get right into today's video. Okay, so let's start off with the coffee cupboard, which in my opinion is one of the most important cupboards. So in terms of coffee, I only drink Maxwell House coffee, except if I want a special treat, in which case I will have the Four Sigmatic coffee. The only thing about the Four Sigmatic coffee is that I will say it is really expensive, so I only have that as a treat once in a while, but as a rule, I don't keep it on hand. This is kind of my die-hard coffee that I always have. It's really inexpensive. I really like the taste. I find it to be very mild and very light, which I like in a coffee. And this whole tub costs about $7 Canadian and lasts forever. When it comes to teas, my partner and I really enjoy drinking decaf Earl Grey, especially in the evening, so this is the one that I keep on hand all the time. I don't switch it up and buy a whole bunch of different teas because we just won't use them. The only other tea product that I do keep in my cupboard is this, which is actually matcha powder. I don't use this, to be honest, as much as I would like to say I do, but probably once this is used up, I don't know if I'll buy it again because I just don't use it often enough to justify keeping it. And then the last one that we have up there is just some sleepy time tea. In terms of sweeteners for our coffee, I always have stevia on top. We use that for cereals and other things that we might want some added sweetener. We don't usually keep white sugar in the house. In fact, I don't think we have any white sugar in the house whatsoever right now. In this cupboard is where I keep some of the stuff that I use on a regular, as in every single day basis. I like having protein on hand because it helps me hit my daily protein needs. I always keep the same jam. This is the only jam that I ever use, and it is the Smucker's no sugar added wild blueberry jam. It's got no sugar added, which I really like, so it's got about half the calories of regular jam. I don't like having a lot of excess sugar, and yeah, this is my favorite one, so I just keep it on hand all the time. I also always have natural peanut butter of some sort on hand. Whatever happens to be on sale, that's usually the one that I get. My daughter was recently on antibiotics, and her antibiotics were really terrible tasting, and so we were using a little bit of honey to help them go down, as the saying goes. That's why this little guy is on hand right now. We'll probably try to use it up on some toast or something, and then I won't be repurchasing it because we don't really eat honey on a regular basis. I personally don't eat cereal myself. Sometimes I will have granola, but the only cereal product I ever make myself is oatmeal, and so I always have rolled oats on hand. They're just really simple and easy to cook, and they're really good for you, so that's the guy that I like to keep on hand. I also always have pumpkin seeds on hand. These guys are really nutritious and they're tasty, and you can put them in smoothies. You can top your oatmeal with them. Sometimes I'll just grab a handful and just eat them. They make a really good snack for night shifts at work. I do have a variety of nuts and seeds that I like to bring with me to work. There's chia seeds that I will sometimes add to cereal as well, and I always have pistachios. I love pistachios. And then I just have a bunch of mixed nuts and seeds there and some fruit, which is really good to bring for night shifts as well. When it comes to spices, that's probably the area that has a bigger variety in my house. So some things that I always keep on hand is parsley flakes, garlic powder, sea salt, Himalayan salt. I have a variety of spices here that I like to use when I cook. So I always keep some chili powder, rosemary. I love rosemary. It's really good on roasted baby potatoes. Chili powder, mustard powder, cayenne pepper, paprika, dill, and oregano and nutmeg. When it comes to oils, we no longer use any sort of margarine or canola oil or anything like that. We use either extra virgin cold pressed olive oil or avocado oil. Those tend to be the two that I go for. What I really like about avocado oil is it has a really high flash point, so you can use this to cook just about anything, and the fats are much healthier for you than using butter or margarine. If you guys haven't tried cooking with avocado oil, I highly recommend it. I also think the bottle is really pretty. In terms of baked goods or baking goods, I do have some brown sugar that gets used on a pretty frequent occasion. I also have some pie filling, which I need to actually use up. I have some icing sugar and I have some white flour, and that's pretty much it. Like I said, I don't have white sugar, and I have a single measuring cup up there as well because that gets used on a pretty frequent basis. And then behind that, I don't know if you can see, but I actually have a blue ribbon cookbook that belonged to my grandmother, and that actually might be my only sentimental item that I have in my entire house. So like I said, I'm not a huge cereal person. Sometimes I will have something that's a little bit more like granola. In terms of cereals, we only keep one commercially prepared or produced cereal in our house, and that is the Honey Nut Cheerios. I let my daughter pick because she's kind of picky. She's 9 years old, and any of you who have kids know that kids can be very picky. So I told her we're only having one in the house. You can pick whatever one you want, and that's the one that she picked. You can see that the cupboards in my house are very shallow. I have really minimal food storage in this kitchen. There's so little food storage that actually when I moved here, I had to significantly pare down the amount of items that I was bringing with me. So I used to have 2 or 3 boxes of cereal on hand all the time, and I actually prefer having just one type of commercially produced cereal for my daughter to choose from, and if she gets to pick it, then I know it's going to get eaten and nothing is going to sit around and get stale. In terms of pasta, we always have a couple of different types of pasta on hand. So this is actually some gluten-free lasagna type noodles, like baby lasagna noodles, and we have some penne, some whole grain penne. We have some instant brown rice, and then down below we have some cat food. Same thing, I only buy one kind of cat food, and I just like to keep it really simple and really organized. My cats are also very picky. You switch one thing up and they hate you for a month, so we just kind of stick to the same thing all the time. So this is the cupboard above the cereal and pasta cupboard, and because I don't have a lot of storage, I also have some pasta up top there. So just spaghetti and lasagna noodles, 1 box of Kraft Dinner. My daughter does like Kraft Dinner, so that's something I keep on hand all the time because it is something that she'll sometimes ask me to make her. Like I said, the key is knowing what your family likes and will eat and continuing to buy those things, because if I buy something that's totally off the wall and she doesn't like it, it's just gonna go bad. She's not gonna eat it. So sometimes I make healthy things, sometimes we compromise. I do have a jar of pure pumpkin, which I really like to put in smoothies. We always have crackers on hand. Those are things that we will eat on a regular basis. My daughter brings them with her in her lunches. I like to eat them with avocado and things like that. We always have some rice cakes and some soup crackers, and we always have a variety of soups. So that number of soup will probably last us about a week. My daughter does really like having soup once in a while for lunch or even for dinner sometimes with a sandwich. So that's just a really quick, easy thing to make when I'm in a pinch. For myself, I really love Thai type soups, so I always keep 1 or 2 of these type of soups on hand. Of course, you guys know I always have my collagen powder, which is running low. This is probably my 3rd tub of this specific brand. I've raved about it before. You don't taste it. It just mixes in perfectly in your water. So this is something I will always have on hand. I do have pre-workout, which isn't my choice really. My partner really likes to use pre-workout, so I always keep this on hand because I'm usually the one who prepares our gym drinks when we go to the gym. In flu season especially, I do like to keep emergency packets. This is something that does tend to stay in my cupboard quite often. Yeah, I find I really like to mix these in my water when I go to the gym, or also for a night shift, I will bring them with me. And something else that I repeatedly buy is these Vega protein snack bars. There's a few different flavors. And then we do have a couple of items that my daughter likes to bring with her in her lunches. And again, you guys, I know this is not the most nutritious thing, but she likes some sort of a sweet treat in her lunches every day. So I let her pick. By the way, we don't keep chips, we don't keep pop, we don't have anything like that in the house. So I don't mind that she has something like this, either a chocolate dipped granola bar or a fruit snack once in a while. And then we also have some popcorn on hand. In terms of fruits and vegetables, that's probably one of the greater varieties that you'll find in my house, which I guess is a good thing. So in this fruit dish here, I always have avocado. It's one of my favorite things. I eat probably at least 2 or 3 avocados a week. They do tend to get ripe very quickly, as avocado is one of the main staples that I always keep. And like I've said before, I only ever keep bananas and avocado on my counter. I like to keep bananas on hand for on toast and for smoothies primarily. I don't usually sit there and actually eat a banana, but they're fantastic to put in smoothies. So staying on the smoothie topic, we always have frozen fruits in the freezer, which we use in smoothies as well. We always have ice cream because my daughter loves ice cream, and that is something that we will use, you know, on a regular basis, and we'll buy more when we run out. I only ever try to keep one on hand though. And I also have some frozen grapes and bananas here. So what I do is when I buy my fruit, if it looks like it's not going to get eaten in time, I will actually just take it and put it in a Tupperware and freeze it. Yeah, so they look kind of funny, but they are phenomenal to throw into smoothies. You just throw like 4 or 5 of these into your smoothie, and they just add a little bit of sweetness and make them nice and cold. In the freezer, I always have some spinach on hand as well, which we throw in smoothies as well. And then the only other thing that we keep on hand is I usually have some sort of frozen entree, something that's really quick and easy to make on those days that I've worked a long 12-hour shift and don't have the time or energy to cook a meal from scratch. So I have this Alfredo chicken thing, and then I also have some frozen yogurt tubes that my daughter also likes to bring in her lunch as well. So this is my fridge, really basic. I will quickly go through the types of things we always keep on hand. So cow's milk is something that my daughter uses on her cereal. I don't like to drink cow's milk. I think it's really gross to drink. I will put it in my coffee though. And so I prefer to use almond milk in my cereals and in my smoothies, but she is not a fan. So as of yet, we're still having cow's milk for her. And like I say, I always put it in my coffee, so I don't keep any sort of coffee creamer or any kind of specialty coffee anything. I'm a creature of habit. I literally just have probably 2 or 3 tablespoons of milk in my coffee, and that is it. In terms of juice, we don't keep juice or pop on hand except for orange juice. Usually we will have some sort of breakfast type juice, which I really like because it reminds me of being on vacation, and occasionally I will have a little glass of orange juice with my breakfast. Oranges and clementines are probably the citrus fruit that we tend to eat the most of, and I always want to have some sort of citrus fruit on hand for the vitamin C component, and these are something that we can all agree on. I don't like to have 5 or 6 different fruits in the fridge because they just won't get eaten and they'll go bad, but I love oranges and my daughter loves oranges, and I always like to have some sort of fresh berry on hand as well. I really love having fresh berries. I like making myself a little bit of a fruit dish, especially in the evening to relax. It's kind of like my little treat. And of course, lots of fiber, lots of nutrients. Eggs are something we keep on hand all the time. And then we have lots of vegetables. So right now we just have some arugula, a couple of things of cucumbers. We have some mushrooms, which I love to use when I cook dinners. We have some grape tomatoes, some celery, which my daughter really likes, and usually we also have some baby carrots. My daughter really likes bringing baby carrots with her to school. We also have some leftovers here, which will get eaten because they are pretty fresh, and then we only keep one type of bread on hand. We actually don't eat, like, my daughter doesn't eat that much bread, but I really like bread. I have toast on a daily basis, and my favorite bread is the Silver Hills. I've been religiously buying this bread for probably 2 or 3 years, and I can't see myself changing to anything else. It's incredibly good for you. It's really dense and it's minimally processed. And then there's nothing in our bottom crispers right now. I find that if you keep a lot of stuff in your bottom crispers, you forget you have things and then they go bad. So I try to keep everything that we're eating on one of the shelves in the fridge so that it's easily accessible and in plain sight. In here, I just have one of my favorite cheeses, and I just use an old bread bag instead of saran wrap or a Ziploc bag because I prefer to do that to save on plastic. And I love that cheese. It's my favorite cheese. I eat it every day, so I don't buy any other types of cheese. I just keep it really simple. On the top, I actually just cleaned this out. So I did have a couple of things that were down there sitting up top, but I just moved them. It's really easy for condiments to pile up, especially things like salad dressings. I used to be the person who had like 4 or 5 different salad dressings on the go at one time, and it's so wasteful because you never get through all of them and you end up throwing a lot of them out. So I always keep yellow mustard on hand. We always have ketchup on hand, but we always have the no sugar added ketchup. So this is phenomenal to add to lots of recipes, or if you happen to have fries or something like that, I always make sure I get the no sugar added. We always keep some sort of hot sauce on hand. So right now we have the Frank's, but sometimes we have sriracha sauce as well. That's something that my partner has introduced into the household. I don't really care for hot sauce, but he really does, as you can tell. And soy sauce is another staple. I think this is probably a pretty common staple in most households. For salad dressings, I try to only keep one on hand at a time because, like I say, I won't go through it otherwise. And I really prefer an oil and herb based salad dressing as opposed to the really artificial ones like the ranch and the California. I don't like anything with a lot of added sugar, and I don't like a lot of fake items in my food. So I try to go as natural as possible. And I really like the Renee's gourmet salad dressings. If you guys haven't tried them, they're really, really tasty. The one I have on hand right now is the Mediterranean Greek tangy feta and herb blend. Really delicious. And this one is good until July, and I'll probably use it up far before July comes. And I always keep lime juice and lemon juice on hand as well. We eat a lot of fish in this house, and we also eat a lot of avocado. So of course, the lime goes really good with the avocado, and then lemon for the fish. And usually I have real lemons on hand. This is just one that I had purchased for a recipe, and I'm just trying to use it up before I buy more lemons. So yeah, if you don't take into account the lemon, because usually I don't have this, you can see that I only have 6 condiments in total, and that's all we keep on hand. Sometimes I have mayo on hand, but it just doesn't get used often enough to justify really keeping it. So this is pretty much it. And that's how I keep it really nice and simple. That way I don't have, a huge influx of condiments that are sitting in my fridge and going bad. Yeah, so that is literally it. That's my tiny food storage in this house. Like I said, there's really not much room at all, which is kind of nice because it forces me to keep my food storage and the foods that I buy to a minimum. But I only have food in this cupboard, and this cupboard. Aside from my, like I say, my coffee and tea cupboard, that is it. So this is all the food we keep on hand at one time in this house, in addition to what's in the fridge. So that's really it. Not very much, not very exciting. So that's it for this week's video, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed. It was nothing fancy. Hit the like button if you can relate to hating throwing food out and preferring to keep a more minimal cupboard. Thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll see you next week.